you need to tune into your body. It is always communicating with you. It is always communicating with you. You just need to learn how to listen to it.
Mm.
That's number one. Number two, from a very tangible standpoint, oh, I don't even know if I should say this. The medical system, as we know it, is, I would consider it a sick system.
Yeah, they're always wanting to take care of you after you're already sick versus ahead of the place.
Yes, I don't think that it is a bad thing to go to your doctor when things are feeling off,
Mm-hmm.
but I would not accept a normal status. Like if your doctor says everything is normal, but you don't feel normal, don't accept that
Yeah.
because you know better than anybody.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Happy September. I'm just back from a long holiday weekend spent on our Colorado lake boat. We got 4 days in 4 days on the lake. It was awesome. I hope you got some good relaxation doing things you love. The long weekend on the water was just what my heart and soul needed. And as I step back into the office this morning, we are in full countdown mode for this year's Extraordinary Women Ignite conference. I hope you will be in the room. The women who gather at Ignite are building businesses rooted in purpose and presence. They're leading with intention, impact, and inner wisdom. Because let's face it, growing a soul aligned business requires more than just strategy. It requires vitality, clarity, and deep connection to ourselves. Get your ticket at CamiGellner.com/ignite and use the code EWR and get $200 off of your ticket. It's an Extraordinary Women Radio gift to you. And that brings me to today's guest because what we're talking about is foundational to that vitality. Michele Scarlet is a board certified functional medicine practitioner and women's health coach who knows that real health doesn't start with rules, it starts with listening. After years of helping women strengthen their bodies through fitness, it was her own experience with fatigue and hormone imbalance that shifted everything. She realized the body isn't something to push through, it's something to partner with. And when we stop overriding the signals and start getting curious, everything changes. In this conversation, Michele shares powerful insights on the mind body connection, burnout, and the role of functional medicine in restoring energy, balance, and trust in our bodies again. If you've been feeling off or like your body is whispering something you haven't quite had the time to hear, this episode is your invitation to tune in. Let's meet Michele Scarlet.
Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Michele. I am excited to have you with us today.
I am so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this conversation for over a month now.
And I know when we had our first conversation, we just, we were finding all the things that we both were so aligned to. And so I think this is going to be a lot of fun just to hear, more about the work and let everyone learn about, what they can be doing to make wellness more an intricate part of their lives. But I also want to start with your story. Let's start with a bit of your story and what was that moment that you realized your body was trying to get your attention, and how did that change your life?
I love the way you put that because it's exactly what happened. Oftentimes, what I believe is that your body will actually manifest symptoms in a way that you as an individual value
Totally.
so that it wakes you up,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? And so for me, I owned a gym for a number of years in my early 20s and here in Toronto. And so my whole world was strength training, being really lean, strong. I really valued that physique and that
Right,
image of
right.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would
And we
say I
get very
probably
attached
put,
to those, our images that we create for ourselves. We become very attached to them, don't we?
yeah. And I was just going to say it became a lot of my self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it had everything to do with my success. And then all of a sudden, I gained 20 pounds, what seemed to be overnight.
Oh, wow.
And I say that to you as if that was the symptom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the symptom that hit me like a bag of bricks, but that was not the only symptom I was dealing with.
Yeah.
I was struggling with chronic exhaustion, bloating, lots of digestive issues, like a hormonal chaos. But like my brain didn't acknowledge any of that
Right.
until I looked in the mirror and I was 20 pounds heavier, like literally seemingly overnight, within a month,
Right.
I would say, if I
Right.
was realistic.
Yeah.
And when you think about the way we are taught to lose weight, it's diet and exercise. Well, I was
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
you
You're like,
know?
what's up with this?
Yeah. And like I had made a career out of teaching people how to do that.
Right.
And I couldn't do it for myself. And so I definitely think that was the universe's way of being like, wake up now. And I dove a lot deeper. And then I realized that those other symptoms I had mentioned were actually just so interconnected. I just wasn't listening prior to that weight gain.
Yeah. So what was the universe delivering to you? What was the message that the universe was saying? Something's got to shift here.
Something had to shift. The really, deep down thing was I needed to calm my nervous system. I needed to stop living this, uh, highly stressful, the things that I would do to myself, but that like go, go, go up at 4 a.m., 2 a day workouts, depleting my
Wow.
body. Yeah, depleting my body, running on this idea that exhaustion was a badge of honor,
Right. Right.
or that I had to show up that way in
Mm-hmm.
order to be taken seriously or to seem successful. It didn't seem right that I could have this life that I enjoyed and still have the success that I wanted.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. And I've gotten those same kind of wake up calls myself. So I get it. I know what it means when we get them. And, we can bring all these traits forward in our lives that work hard for success. And I know that was one of my old stories that I carried for so long. It's like, I have to just work, 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 work to get to where I want to get. And it does break us. And that kind of mentality will break us down. And when we get those universal taps on the shoulders saying, hello, something's going to shift here, then they're actually a true blessing.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I often say it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, that's now going back about 7 or 8 years. In
Mm-hmm.
hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me
Yeah. So
because
how
it
did you
made
kind
me,
of deconstruct everything to open up into this new way of being?
yeah, well, I mean, I had to focus, like, because it was such a physical thing, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't not focus on the physical part of it. And so I definitely
Yeah.
sought out help for that specific thing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as I combined all the symptoms that I was having. So there was lots contributing to that. I sought out my functional medicine practitioner. She opened my eyes to a lot of things, realizing that health goes a lot deeper than diet and exercise alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I started kind of stripping away some of those beliefs. I actually stopped working out for like 6 months, which is,
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
more than a decade for me of working out almost every day
Yeah.
to really slow down. Um, that was, and I lost like 12 pounds in a month.
Wow. Amazing, right?
Yeah, like my
Amazing.
body just relaxed and then
Yeah.
like let go.
Yeah. My journey to a functional nutritionist was kind of the same story. It was I put on weight very quickly, like 20 pounds in a month kind of thing. And it's like, what happened? And
Yeah.
I didn't know what, and when I started working with the functional nutritionist, she was able to break it down and really get to what was happening at the root.
Yes.
And that was the most important part of it. And what a journey that has been to like
Yes.
just learn and discover our bodies in a different way.
Yes, it was so eye-opening to me. It inspired me so much to realize that you didn't have to beat your body up or I say beat your body into submission for
Right.
it to respond in the way that you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Kind of like,
Yeah.
running parallels with like you don't have to work yourself to the bone to be successful. Like,
Exactly.
right? So that was very eye-opening and inspiring. And it inspired me to actually go back to school when COVID hit. And I became a functional medicine practitioner and then married my two worlds.
Nice.
So, yeah, now I work with women who, they often are in midlife, struggling with that sort of weight gain. They don't really know what's happened. Their life didn't change, their habits didn't change, but there's something deeper happening now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've married them. So we work on the weight loss piece, but we do it from a holistic and a root cause perspective.
Yeah, I love it so much. So tell us a little bit more, because I know you talk about it being on a deeper, more intuitive level. How are you working with your clients at that level? What's the journey you take them on?
Yeah. So again, because that physical aspect is still right in their face, we do
Mm-hmm.
work on the physical. So I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
pretend that we just, meditate all day and the weight comes off. There is a physical
Right.
piece to it. There is work to be put in.
Mm-hmm.
But from that more spiritual level, we have to work on changing the stories in our head
Mm-hmm.
around our self-worth, around this black and white sort of thinking, this all or nothing mindset that if you don't work out 6 days a week, you're failed. You're
Right.
a lazy couch potato if you don't, do 100% of the things all the time.
Yeah.
And I would say that mindset is one of the biggest roadblocks for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just believe that it is an all or nothing scenario in so many different areas of our life. So we work a ton on mindset and
Mm-hmm. The stories that we're
changing,
telling ourselves over and over again, right?
yeah, and like just
Mm-hmm.
changing those neurological pathways. We do
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to actually create new stories. We
Yeah.
don't
And new
have to believe
pathways
in it.
in our brains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we
I
do a lot of that.
That's awesome. I'm so fascinated with the brain science right now. In fact, I've just done a couple of interviews that have aired just before this episode, and on brain science, because I'm so fascinated with it. I did a course with Sounds True last year, which was called the Inner MBA, and a large part of that was really diving into brain science and what happens with our brain, and just to me, that is, I think, one of the most important things that we can do as entrepreneurs and as individuals as we're wanting to live our best life. So I love that that's a core part of your work.
I mean, I just think that, if you think about a child,
Mm-hmm.
their brain is so moldable, and
Mm-hmm.
you as an influence on them, you get to teach them. Are they strong? Are they, you know I often call my son persistent, which I love in a person, not so much in a toddler, but um it you get to show them who they are. Their brain is just developing, right? And the
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
you're telling them now are the stories they're going to believe forever.
Yeah.
So and it becomes really ingrained. Our brains are so powerful. Why
Yeah.
couldn't we consciously shift them
Yeah.
from our beliefs?
Yeah. So agree.
Right?
So agree. I love it. I love it. So why do you believe that true health expands our capacity for creativity, leadership, and presence? And I
Uh,
totally agree, but let's dive into this. Like, what does that do for us when we're in our best optimal health?
yeah, I believe that optimal health is the foundation for like all things, but very
Mm-hmm.
specifically clarity, creativity, and leadership. Imagine you have this symptom. So I know for
Mm-hmm.
you, thyroid, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have this thing going on inside of your body. Maybe you don't know it yet, but you have something happening inside of your body that is
Yeah.
happening 24/7 at
Yeah.
all times for a number of years.
Yep.
That means your body is creating inflammation to try to protect you from that thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
means your body is putting energy into trying to like allow you to overcome this thing that's happening all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means so it's almost as if you have somebody like scraping your arm with sandpaper, just
Yeah.
like
And it's
24/7.
pulling, it's like pulling energy to put that focus where it feels like it needs the support. And
Yes.
Yeah. And it
So,
takes the
so
energy
then
away from everything else.
exactly. So if you're always dealing with this thing that's just like always nagging you, even though you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, like this is easy, somebody scratching your arm with sandpaper is easy to conceptualize. But like you don't know that your thyroid is inflamed. You don't know that
Right.
it's not producing the right amount of hormone. You don't know that
Mm-hmm.
it's then compounding and now your adrenals are an issue and now your sex hormones are in a state of
Mm-hmm.
chaos and so
Mm-hmm.
on and so forth. Like the
Yeah.
cascade effect that happens in your body because your body, you can't silo your body. It's all interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that's happening under the surface at all times.
Right.
All of a sudden, you wake up, you're 40, you have a bit of brain fog. So you drink a little bit more caffeine to get through your meetings, to get through your team,
Which adds to the problem, because the caffeine adds more stuff into our bodies that our body doesn't really need.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, you have this nagging thing that's going on. It's taking away from your
Mm-hmm.
clarity, it's taking away from your creativity because you have to pour even more energy and more effort to make those things happen. And eventually, your body doesn't have the reserves it needs
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that I think I've learned in the last several years. I started with my functional nutritionist like 3 years ago, and the interrelationship between every part of our body, our gut to our brain to, you know, all of it. It's just so connected, and it's fascinating to learn how these pieces all work together, and then how things start to snowball too, right? And I think that's what you're just touching on is our adrenals go after our body gets tired, and so
Oh,
it's like
yes.
it's just the whole snowball of what can happen if we don't get back down to the root of it.
Yes, exactly. And, unfortunately, in our society today, in North America at least, we are taught, like, oh, if you have a thyroid issue, treat the thyroid. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that you don't address what's happening, what's dysfunctional about your thyroid, but we have to look at what role your thyroid plays in your gut health, in your liver health,
Right.
in your adrenal
Right.
health. What does it cause in terms of actual like physical symptoms and cravings and weight gain and that kind of stuff? What are you doing then, when we see things like weight gain? Instead of addressing thyroid, we work out harder. It affects the thyroid worse,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
right? So we
Exactly.
we
And
tend
the other
to.
part of it is because my thyroid actually was testing fine. I mean, I've been on thyroid medicine my whole life because I lost part of a thyroid when I was 15. But what I have now is the autoimmune disease that is attacking my thyroid,
Yes,
and that's, again, it's just so interrelated that I wouldn't have known that had I not gone down the pathway of doing that discovery. So I'm just such a fan of the kind of work that you do and helping people find that. I think it's so important.
it is so
I th-
important.
Another part of this is just the pace that we live in. You and I were chatting about this as we were in the green room chat, before we logged on, and it's that the and I don't even like to use the word busy, but it's the fullness of life that people live in, right? We just live in too many things all at once that we're trying to balance. So
Oh my
talk to
goodness,
us.
yes.
Yeah, let's the busyness, the burnout, the fullness of life. What would you what advice would you give any of our listeners who are feeling that kind of pressure?
So I have two trains of thought on this. So
Mm-hmm.
what we were talking about in the green room before we hit record was, even still to this day, I've gone through this whole journey, and even still to this day, there are times in my life where that white space in my calendar becomes filled so fast with my to-do list. And I know I'm not unique in that way,
Mm-hmm.
but burnout is very close on the other side of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I also, so that's like our external stress that we see every single day. It's our to-do list, it's the fullness of our lives. But there's the other side of that. So this is kind of touching on the capacity side. I am very A type. I am very driven. I like to see productivity. I Not that I like to see a full calendar necessarily, but there is still a story in my head personally where there is this connection between busy equals success. right? It must mean that I have all of this stuff going on if I don't have any white space in my calendar. And that's not really a conscious thought. That's kind of a subconscious thought. But if you are able to uncover some of these hidden stressors in your health, you gain the capacity to deal with the external stressors that maybe you can't change, right? And it's not about necessarily mitigating stress where you can, because not a lot of women can actually say, like, if you were to talk to a lot of your clients, if you said, okay, you got to add in a workout here, you need to tell your husband he's got to take his kids, your kids to school every day. You know what I mean? Like, if you start changing people's routine, people get a little bit up in arms, like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that, right?
Right.
But if we give them capacity inside of their bodies, the ability to actually deal with those things, or the ability to ask for help, becomes easier.
I like this a lot. So go a little bit deeper. What does that mean to develop that capacity in our bodies?
Yeah. So I'll use some examples. I often see women who, definitely need to quit their jobs. Okay. Like, their job, their world is toxic, or they hate their life because of it. It is a major stressor. If you ask them, on a scale of 1 to 5, what does their work life create for them? It's a 10. They need to find something else. But even the idea of searching for something new is overwhelming, and they just can't, they don't have the capacity to even think about the next step.
Yeah.
As we go through healing, so oftentimes I see it in the gut. When you start healing the gut and you create a barrier, which is supposed to be in our gut or in our digestive tract, when you create that thick barrier, you start to create boundaries on the inside and you start to create boundaries on the outside. And it just becomes so innate. And then all of a sudden I see these women saying to their boss, like, no, I need to go home to my family now. Or, no, this isn't for me. Or they now have the ability to just open their mind a little bit more to say, hey, maybe I'll chat with somebody new about a new job, or, something like that. I have another woman who, when I first met her, her husband, I think every conversation we had, she said, like, her husband, she is married, but she is a single mom. He does nothing to help with the kids, doesn't help with the house. She works full time. It's all like, and she was really emotional about it. And when we would discuss things like, could you ask your husband for help in meal prep or in helping with the kids? Like, it was off the table.
Right.
Like, even the idea of having the conversation was too overwhelming for her. And then 3 months in, working through mineral balancing and hormone balancing, she is like excited to have the conversation from a different perspective, because she now understands, like, how important it is for her energy to put into her family and to put into her life, and she needs that help. So
Yeah.
it just, like, innately happens on the exterior when the interior begins to heal.
I like this so much. And it's like the energy that, I mean, it's going back to how we're caring for our energy within. And we can't even think bigger if our energy is just so depleted.
Yes.
And I think that's the capacity that we're talking about. So
Yes.
good. So
I
good.
even have that for my own self.
Yeah.
For, 12 years, I had, like I said, I had the gym. I had full staff. I had a general manager. It was like payroll and events and all the things. And as I became more and more unhealthy, I'll say, or into that journey, and I didn't realize it, the turnover became bigger, or faster, I should say. I couldn't keep up that pace anymore. And again, 2020 came, and, everybody's whole world changed, including mine. And the gym had to close legally for a while. I decided to let all my staff go. I decided I needed to start over. I went back to school, like I said. And then it took me, well, now what is it? It's been 5 years. It took me 4 years to regain that capacity and say, okay, I'm ready again to build.
Okay. Yeah.
right?
You had
It
to get that
actually,
base back there, the foundation back before you could actually move into the build again.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I didn't want to manage and I didn't want to have all of this stress of payroll and deadlines. And I didn't want to be that CEO. I didn't want to have that CEO energy
Mm-hmm.
at that time. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was a shift. It was like my body healed. I was able to have those bigger thoughts. I had energy to have those thoughts. And then it was time to implement. And I had the energy to actually execute the plan. And fast forward to today, I have my team. I love the idea of being, having that CEO energy and like, and delegating. And, I probably, a lot of the women that might listen to this on my side when I put this out to my people, they might be like, oh, I'd love to be the CEO. It's not like there's hours and hours of flexibility and time freedom and it's just like this most beautiful, picture that we all painted when we first started in business, right?
Right.
It's a lot of work. And it's
It is.
definitely not work that I'm typically used to in my career. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sitting at my computer and planning and strategizing and organizing and delegating. But now it's like a different energy and a different part of my brain that I'm so excited to
Yeah.
create and expand more.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love that vision of the CEO energy just like blossoming, right?
Yes.
That it's like it's expanding. It's what I'm envisioning there. That's so awesome. So, what are some of the symptoms that women often ignore?
Oh, I would say high performing women like you and I would say
Mm-hmm.
exhaustion is number
Mm-hmm.
one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of women don't even realize how tired they are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to quantify it in a way that's like, do you crash when you get home from work? Would you rather scroll your phone than talk to your husband?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say if more often than not, you are skipping your workouts at the end of the day, or you're kind of self sabotaging in the sense of like, I'd rather just sit on the couch with a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
That is how I would describe exhaustion
Yeah,
and burnout.
people just kind of falling into this low level, low energy pattern.
Yes. So I think that
Yeah.
that's one to really easily recognize. I think that I would also say anxiety and depression. It is huge in for women in midlife as their
Mm-hmm.
hormones shift.
Uh-huh.
The which then kind of snowballs into lack of confidence.
Uh-huh.
Here we are going with like here's the idea of leadership again, right?
Yeah.
If you are feeling anxious about the way you look or the way you feel or that little nagging thing that's going on inside your body but you can't pinpoint, how do you show up every day at work with confidence?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't. Not with
Yeah.
the confidence you had when you were 30,
Right. Right.
right? And so I think that if we really start to tune into our bodies, take a break and tune into our bodies, like what is actually happening and what are the behaviors that are caused by those symptoms? Because it's easy for me to say tired, bloating, insomnia. Those are like real, medical tangible symptoms. But what
Yeah.
is the actual behavior? Because we can just excuse those things.
Yeah.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
didn't get a good night's sleep, so I'm tired.
So true. Really easy to
Right?
find excuses around that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, where could people learn more about you and about your work if they're feeling any of these symptoms and want to open up to a discovery of their own health journey?
Yeah. I really, really highly recommend before I tell you where you can find me, whether it's you working with me or working with a functional medicine practitioner to
Mm-hmm.
some extent, do your research, know that they're really going to let them describe to you how their process works and make sure they're deep diving into your body as a whole system, not just one area. Because again, if it's just one area, they're only just treating like the symptom or they're just like scratching the surface. So that's one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of where you can find me, so you can find me at michellescarlet.com. That's my website. I am most active on 3 social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And it's all Michelle Scarlet _. That's where you can find me.
Cool. Love that. And then the final question I always close with is what are 3 pearls of wisdom you want to leave with us today?
Ooh, 3 pearls of wisdom. One, you need to tune into your body. It is always communicating with you. It is always communicating with you. Um, you just need to learn how to listen to it. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, from a very tangible standpoint, the oh, I don't even know if I should say this. The medical system, as we know it, is, I would consider it a sick care system.
Yeah,
If,
they're
if
always they're wanting to take care of you after you're already sick versus ahead of the place, ahead of how
yes,
we. Yeah.
I don't think that it is a bad thing to go to your doctor when things are feeling off,
Mm-hmm.
but I would not accept a normal status. Like if your doctor says everything is normal, but you don't feel normal, don't accept that
Yeah.
because you know better than anybody. And I will say, and I tell this to, I put this out on every podcast interview I do. I tell every client, anytime I do a webinar, I am very explicitly say that my doctor and I have very candid conversations now.
Mm-hmm.
We both understand each other's point of view. I think she has a vital role in our community,
Right.
but she is very open about the fact that her role is to diagnose disease and treat
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right.
If you are not in a disease state yet, they don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I actually switched my Western medical doctor after all of the work that I did with my functional nutritionist because the one I was working with was just not wanting to even collaborate. And
Right.
I was like, I want a doctor who's going to work with my functional nutritionist together.
Yes.
And I had to go search for that person. And I had to find, because that's just not the norm. And so I had to go out and just, I crowdsourced it. I'm like, who are the doctors out there that will work with the alternative healthcare professionals in a way that is in a collaboration versus in a, 2 silos?
100%. And it's only been now 5 years that my doctor and I have a very great working relationship. And,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in Canada, we have universal healthcare. And so, you often think that you can just go in and say, okay, these are the tests that I need. Well, no, there's only specific regulations on what I'm allowed to do. So I often have to pay out of pocket for things that my doctor can order, if I can't order them for myself. So I think it's about being aware of how
Yeah.
much they can actually help. And if they can't, you have to seek out further because
Yeah.
things like bloating or digestive issues, insomnia, anxiety, depression, these things are minute right now. But I always say that the big diseases, the cancers, the heart disease, the diabetes, all of those, Parkinson's, et cetera, Alzheimer's, those are all, they don't start at your diagnosis,
Right.
right? They start 15, 20, 25 years before that with all of these little nagging symptoms.
Yeah.
So take that seriously.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
the
What's your last pearl?
last pearl, you're going to love this one because this food is medicine.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Everything you put into your mouth will either feed nourishment or feed disease.
Yeah.
So let's start thinking about what it is we're actually putting into our bodies. And now I'm not saying that I am 100%, this all or nothing scenario, but
Mm-hmm.
let's start thinking about what our, grocery stores look like. Let's start looking about how we're showing up what's showing up in our fridge, what's showing up in our cupboards. What are you actually nourishing your body with? Because it can change your life for the better, or it can be very detrimental.
Yeah. That's a good one. That is a good one. Michele, this has been really educational and so much good wisdom that you've shared with us today. Thank you for bringing your stories and for just bringing all of your good teachings to us today as well.
Thank you for having me, Cami.